Now, speaking of the heat, we want to check back in with Matt Rutkin this morning to talk about the heat that we're going to be seeing around here. And along with that heat, it's Ohio, so certainly the humidity is coming along with it, I'm sure.
Yeah, you can tell this is not your first summer here.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Humidity is going to be a thing this weekend. Not too bad today, probably mid to upper 80s, but mid 90s likely tomorrow. Here's a look at outside. It is 69 at CMH Airport. Not bad. Pretty seasonable. Again, typical for this time of the year. That dew point, though, is an important number. Anytime you're in the upper 60s, it starts feeling real muggy. When you get in the 70s, that's when it feels really nasty, like Miami, Florida in the summer. And we're going to get in that level later today and probably tomorrow. But that's also the moisture that fuels thunderstorms. You can kind of just see it's hazy, right? Looking at our weather camera there, and that's what we're expecting here through the weekend. Again, 69 here in town, 65 down the road in Newark. Most of us here in the mid to upper 60s. It's still kind of rough if you don't have air conditioning with this humidity. This kind of temperature levels don't really give you much relief, but regardless, at least it's better than the mid 70s, right? Which is probably where we'll be tonight and first thing tomorrow morning. So here's a look at the our muggy meter, if you will, with dew points in the mid 60s. Pretty gross, humid, but once you get in the 70s, that's where you walk outside. It just feels like you walk into a door. That's probably what we're going to feel as we head towards the second half of the weekend. So we'll go with pretty quick ice cream melting if you're like me, and we'll eat ice cream around the clock, right? Probably eat it fast today. It will melt if that's on your agenda later this afternoon. Here's a look at satellite and radar. So we are watching to our northwest near Lima, Toledo, Fort Wayne, Indiana. That's where some bigger thunderstorms are trying to track down to the south and east. Obviously for us in central Ohio, no issues for the next several hours, but if they can hold together, we'll likely see a few thunderstorms through midday and perhaps the afternoon. I think a lot of this will get eaten up as it moves to the south and east. It's losing its fuel, if you will, the heat. But as we warm things up, may add to a little bit extra. And there are bigger thunderstorms here between Chicago and South Bend, Indiana. So as those push to the east and dive south into Ohio, we'll have to watch that as well later this afternoon. Do not think we will see a washout, nothing like that. So if you have afternoon plans, should be in good shape, but I would certainly encourage you to keep an eye on the radar. And obviously, the old saying is when thunder roars, go indoors. You don't want to be outside, clearly, when there's lightning. So here's Futurecast. I want to preface this by saying this is probably overdone. This model is quite aggressive for what we think will happen, but it does show the potential here this afternoon for thunderstorms. This is 3 o'clock, and again, I would not bet on a widespread massive storm complex coming down, but I wanted to show it to you just to reiterate. We will probably see some storms later this afternoon, although I think it would be more hit and miss than that big line coming through. And then a better chance for storms as we head towards tomorrow. But under any storm chances, and again, take this with a grain of salt, it's a computer model, but showing you could get an inch plus of rain if you get a heavier thunderstorm overhead. Now this is tomorrow, not today, but tomorrow. We're number 2 out of 5 for severe weather risks, with the biggest potential being some gusty winds. That would be tomorrow evening. So we kind of have 2 rounds, one today and then one tomorrow, especially the second half of our Sunday. So here's a look at the forecast today. We'll go with mid 80s. It'll feel like it's in the 90s though with that higher humidity. 7-day forecast, really hot tomorrow. We're talking mid 90s with heat index values, probably about 100 to maybe 103, 105 with better chances for thunderstorms tomorrow evening. Again, some of those could be on the strong side, but then we get some natural AC, at least relative to average or where we're at, back into the 80s next week with on and off rain chances. So yeah, pretty typical July forecast, at least in my opinion.